All right, you are still watching TVC Breakfast. We'll now take you to the Center of Unity, where we talk to Eshamamo Imodu and Tijeso Adeoye in our Abuja studio for the FCT Brief. It's a beautiful Friday. We're talking about labor. Over to you, Abuja, in Akwana.
Good morning, Ria. I see that your topic today is quite an interesting one, so I won't shift the energy from that, but thank you so much for joining FCT Brief this morning.
And it's, thank God it's Friday, and what a way to begin the weekend. TJ, you set for it?
Well, as you can see, let's go into what we have for you today. Good morning and welcome to FCT Brief. Nigeria's struggles with terrorism and violent extremism continues to pose a major challenge to national security, peace and development. From the northeast to other parts of the country, the ripple effects of insecurity have disrupted lives, displaced communities, and strained the nation's economy. Despite several counter-terrorism operation and policy intervention, the menace persists, demanding renewed collaboration across all sectors. The Labour Party is urging the federal government, security agencies, political actors, and citizens to rise above partisan divides and pursue a unified front against terrorism.
The party believes that effective coordination, intelligence sharing, and community engagement are crucial to winning the war against insurgency and restoring public confidence in the security system. As Nigeria grapples with multiple security threats from insurgency to banditry and kidnapping, questions are emerging about the sustainability of the current approach. Is the country's counterterrorism strategy inclusive enough? And what practical steps are needed to build a truly national coalition against terror? And to help provide answers to these questions, we have Kennedy Ahanotu in the studio. He is the national youth leader of the Labour Party.
Good morning.
Kennedy, nice to have you here.
Welcome. Happy weekend to you.
Thank you so much. Let's hit it this way. President Trump threatened to invade, to attack Nigeria, and some Nigerians seem divided with this. Some are saying they're in support of the U.S. invading Nigeria, while others are calling for caution. And the president just said that, look, Nigeria is committed to the fight against terrorism and that we're going to defeat terror. You are in the opposition. Will you subscribe to President Trump and the U.S. invading Nigeria to attack to attack Nigeria, or will you support the U.S. collaborating with Nigeria to defeat terrorism?
Thank you so much. I think this is not time to apportion blame to anybody. And Nigeria is a sovereign nation. And another country trying to invade another country ordinarily is not even acceptable. We know that U.S. is playing a senior brother role, a big brother's role. But I don't think that what President Trump is saying is threatening Nigeria, sovereignty or peace of Nigeria. That statement was to the terrorists. He wasn't even saying he's invading Nigeria to attack Nigeria. Is he going to attack us, all of us terrorists? He's talking to terrorists in Nigeria. Because if you agree with me, terrorism is eating deep in the Nigerian system. And it's glaring. Everybody can see it. So for me, I think blaming and counter-blaming is not what we need. What we need is strategic collaboration, strategic engagement between the United States and Nigeria to see a way to support the systems that we have in Nigeria to be able to combat this terrorism, to be able to combat this violence, these killings that is ravaging the country. So it's not, I don't see it as a threat. I see it as, you know, somebody saw what is happening in another country and he feels it shouldn't be so. Of course, we are members of UN, United Nations, and there are United Nations Charter of Peace and Human Rights, safeguarding human rights, and Nigeria is party to it. So any nation that sees what is happening in Nigeria must be interested.
All right, Mr. Ahanotu, you rightly mentioned that Nigeria is a sovereign nation. And, you know, President Trump is alleging Christian genocide in Nigeria. No one is disputing the fact that there is insecurity in Nigeria. But do you also believe that there's some kind of religious undertone to the killings? Do you agree with the Christian genocide label? You know,
over the years, there has been this Christian-Muslim dichotomy kind of crisis. You know, somebody that stayed in the north, like me, I schooled in the north, most times you see us running to the barracks in those days. you know, to find shelter when we are in abuse area. And I participated in an election in a Gabi local government. You see, there is this kind of selective, you know, attack on individuals. And I don't think blaming the Muslims, because there are good Muslims. There are Muslims that are not violent. I schooled with them. I lived with them. They are not part of what is happening. Some of them are even confused. You know, there are also Christians that are participating in terrorism. It's not about Christian and Muslim. Rather, I think it's the players that are making it look as if it's a Christian-Muslim fight. For me, I don't see it that way. The truth is that in the North, Christians in the North have faced a lot of persecution. In the South, Christians in the South doesn't face any persecution. We can see it visibly. It's visible that Christians in the North are facing a lot of persecution. Nobody can hide it, you know. But I don't want us to now begin to say that this is a pure Christian attack. There are Muslims in the North that are killed. But you know, when you check the indices, the number of Christians that are killed in some of those cases are more, far more.
All right, Mr. Kennedy, I would like to cast your mind back to an event that happened, I think sometime last year or 2 years ago, where in a church in Owo, in a church, Christians were massacred. And that is the narrative that is coming up now. That happened in the South. So how would you now justify that this is not an attack targeted at Christians? Yes, we accept that Muslims also are dying, but we see targeted attacks at Christians in churches.
Thank you so much. You know, terrorism is not something that you paint with religious color. Sorry. You know, jihadist movement is not something you say, these are extremists, and they want to make news. Where do you make news? Where do people gather? In churches, people gather every Sunday in large numbers. And if you look at that Owo attack, these guys, they came as a terrorist and they attacked the church. It's not as if that they are members of that state, they are from that state. They moved from somewhere to come and make news. It's news that they want to make. They want to hit the government. They want to make the government react. They want to make people see you as a failure. They are determined to destroy the systems in Nigeria. And that is why I feel that our leaders need to, you know, approach this, not with kid gloves. They need to approach it, you know, with a rigid hand. Let the government have the will to say enough is enough. Where are the security agencies? Our attack couldn't have happened if you followed it very well. If the security agencies are doing that, why are weapons and all this sensitive material moving along our highways? Are there not security agencies on that highway? Are there not security personnel? No. What they do is that they now protect themselves. The moment you become a councillor, you get 2 police officers that will be following you. The moment you become a House of Assembly member, you get 3, 4, or 5 police officers that will be following you. You become a House of Reps, you are sure of 10 police officers that will be following you. So the security men should have been in strategic position. Intelligent gathering is lacking. So if you say, yes, I agree. There are, even in Madala, it was not in a church that was attacked. It was a church. But I don't want us to begin to divide ourselves further by saying it's Muslim against Christians.
Okay. I think recently was it in Zamfara, Katsina State, about 43 or so people were massacred in a mosque. So it shows that, just like you said, that these extremists want to make news. But now, how do we now move to talk about the Christian leaders, the Muslim leaders, so that these divisive forces do not penetrate our fault lines? How should the government begin to coordinate affairs? Like before every election, you have the peace committee, make politicians sign. Shouldn't we elevate this beyond just before an election and really see how we can sit Christians and Muslim leaders down and let them understand that to live together is better than to be antagonizing ourselves in what we call a nation?
You know, before we look at solutions and how we galvanize, you know, this relationship between Islamic clerics and Christian leaders, you know, we have to first of all look at the foundation. How did this penetrate? This came into being by weaponization of political institutions and political engagement. It is politicians that want to perpetually be in power that brought this into place in the first place. So how do we resolve it? We have to demobilize political engagement and make it to be democratic in nature. It shouldn't be do or die affair. Today, you see endorsements in churches. Prophets or even give hints of a judgment of who will be a governor and who will not be a governor. Are you getting it? You go to mosque, he will tell you, this is the person we are supporting. It's not supposed to be so. Prophets and clerics are supposed to be they are supposed to be, spiritual leaders. They pray for the nation. They are not supposed to be engaged in politics. But the politicians have succeeded in bringing. There are pastors that governors don't worship in their church. There are pastors that governor worships in their church. Today in Nigeria, there are bishops that governors interact with, presidents interact with. There are bishops that president. Even in the last election, you saw because of the Christian-Muslim dichotomy and issue, some bishops have to be arranged to come and campaign for our current president. Is it not wrong? It's wrong. Why? Because they want to bring religious bias, religious sensitivity into politics. So it is these our political leaders, some already are apportioning blame to themselves. You're on the news, some of these political leaders are apportioning blame to themselves on how this terrorism and insecurity came to be. And truly that was how it came to be. So if we must solve the problem, we must first of all tell ourselves that politicians, we must not engage youths that are available for crime in political engagement. Because when you weaponize them, tell them to go and maim your opponent and make the system ungovernable so that you'll be able to have a smooth sail into your political office. The moment you leave them, and it's difficult to maintain them, the moment you leave them, if you say 20 of you bring back your guns, 20 will never return their guns. Maybe 10 will return it, 10 will run away with it. Because you cannot service terrorists. You can't service them. It's very expensive.
The Tinubu administration has come under a lot of fire following President Trump's remark. And rightly so, some people would say that this issue of insecurity did not start during his administration. It started with President Goodluck Jonathan at the time. It intensified under the Buhari administration. And now it has met him at a more complex and fragmented manner. Now, would you say it's intellectually honest to pin this on him?
You see, we are in a country where most times people outside will say that somebody inside is the problem. And when they come inside the room, you see them do the worst. Insecurity started, we were playing with it. I wrote a book that were launched in 2009, Conquering Violence. I saw the way things were going. I predicted some of these things. The first bomb blast, I think 2010, happened in Nigeria. We took it like play. Who was the president? Was it Tinubu? No. Rather, even the current president then, we are celebrating it and was using it as an opposition tool to fight the then president, Jonathan. They use it to even go to US and say we are under attack in Nigeria. Do we forget? Did we forget? That was what this current, most of the people in government today, they used it as a tool against. Instead of coming together and providing a solution and writing an open letter or secret letter to the president, this is what we need to do.
So
we need to cop this.
This is a case of karma.
Something like that. Okay? Then we are celebrating it, using it as a tool to fight the former government. It penetrated. They allowed it. Jonathan left. They used that heat to remove Jonathan. Jonathan left. They were still playing with it, doing hanky-panky with insecurity and violence in Nigeria. It kept penetrating. The investors now saw that it's lucrative. They begin to pump in money, begin to push in arms, begin to recruit people that are willing to die. And it kept increasing. Today is a monster that you cannot ply the road anywhere, not even only in the north. Even in the southeast. There are areas in the southeast that people don't go home currently. There are places in Southwest that people don't go home. People are afraid to ply the road today. So I will not say that is Tinubu that started it, or that is him that is the cause of this level of insecurity we have in Nigeria. But what I will say is that whoever that is in power should be able to have the will to say enough is enough.
Okay.
And mobilize their, they are making our security agencies look as if they are not working. They are trying their best. But when an insider is part of a crime against the state, it makes it difficult for our security agencies, for their effort to show. Look at what is happening in Beirut sometime in the past. Somebody will give intel of when the military men start coming. Intel will come. Who is doing that? What for? What reason?
Okay. This is a menace that we must defeat as a nation. And we've seen budgetary allocation over the years on the rise for investment into the military. But some persons also argue that no matter how much you invest in the military, if you do not also invest in the police, that we may not go far as a nation. Now, 2026 budget is in the works. What kind of concentration do you think the government can give into investing in the police beyond just saying we need to decentralize all our state police? What kind of investment should the government give to the police force so that they can begin to hold their ground as the Nigerian police force?
I think the government needs to be more innovative with policing in Nigeria. They need to be more technologically inclined with policing in Nigeria. When you go to UK or some of these countries and move for a whole day and not seeing a police with gun, it makes me feel what's happening in Nigeria. Inside the international arrival, you see a man carry gun here. But you land in Heathrow, you will not see a police with gun, but they are there. So government needs to invest more in innovative policing, technologically inclined policing. There is need for more investment. I didn't see a military man all through my stay in the UK for 2 weeks. I didn't see a military man, and I was moving around. But here, just step out from this your office to Maitama, you will see military people on the road. So our security architecture needs to be, reworked. People need to be taught patriotism. Our security agencies don't even understand what patriotism is all about. Because if they die in the course of their duty, bye-bye to their family, nobody cares. The next day, they are pursuing their wives and children from the barracks. So there is need for sincere investment, not compromised investment. When we say these budgetary allocations, some people will use it to enrich themselves. It doesn't trickle down to the real policing, to the real military engagement. When you meet military man on the road, you are supposed to be seeing a happy man, a man that is happy to die for his country, but they are not happy to die for their country. Some of them will drop their gun and run away because once they are dead, they are dead. Nobody cares. So the same thing with police. You now see a policeman literally begging on the street. A policeman, you see a traffic warden hiding under a tree to be able to catch a traffic offender. And not that you catch a traffic offender and charge him accordingly. No, you give a tip, they'll collect. Why? Because livelihood in Nigeria, look at everybody is crying in Nigeria now. So the investment, I agree, you need to increase the amount of money you invest in police, you invest in army, but you need to be sincere in the implementation and utilization of this budget. Very important. Because if you invest 1 billion, if you say police, we are giving every state police 1 billion every month, and some big boys in the police, are buying Lamborghini, building houses and estates in Maitama and Asokoro, and instead of looking into the welfare of the ordinary police officers you see on daily basis on the road, they don't do it. Instead, they will do, okay, give me 10 police, I will pay the order. It's happening. That is why we don't even have enough police on the street, on our roads, because politicians have hijacked them. And they are willing to go and work with a politician than to work on the street of Abuja. Because there, some people coming to visit the politician will give them tip, the politician will give them weekly or daily tip, and they'll be making some daily living for themselves. But if we invest, I can imagine a senior police officer following maybe probably somebody that just become a senator or a House of Rep member that didn't even go through any life training, didn't go through any politics, that had just WAEC.
All right, Mr. Hanno.
And a CSP is following him, giving salute. Where in a foreign world does it happen?
Well, let's come back to our issue of this counterterrorism and back to this remark by President Trump, because opinions are divided on it. Some people say Nigeria is a sovereign nation, which you rightly mentioned, and a lot of other people have welcomed the idea of this invasion in Nigeria. Now, I would like to know, what do you think is the implication of this internal division between Nigerians?
I think the internal division are not with decision makers. The internal division you are experiencing is on social media. And some of us that are critical don't make our analysis based on social media divisions that you see in the country. You look at the institutional analysis.
But they seem to be getting the attention of the foreign nations.
The attention of foreign nations, like I told you, Nigeria belongs to the United Nations. And that makes Nigeria open for any country, some of the superpowers, to be interested in what is happening in Nigeria. Because human rights is an international matter. Okay, so things cannot be, atrocity cannot be happening in Nigeria, and you expect these strong international countries to be quiet. They will not be quiet. But what I know is that what we need is strategic engagement, diplomatic engagement. And what President Trump is saying is not that he's invading Nigeria. He's coming to help Nigeria to stop this menace. It's a menace. He cannot be a president of the United States of America, one of the big boys we have in the world, and watch people in Nigeria being molested in their own country. You cannot sleep in your country. You cannot sleep with your two eyes closed in your country. Look at one of your colleagues the other time. We are even talking about terrorism. He said, your colleagues in Arise TV died just like that. A young promising lady, just like that, died. Okay? So there are criminal activities going on everywhere. So Mr. Trump is not threatening to invade Nigeria. He's only threatening the institution to brace up, to stand. If by today you don't hear the news of killing in Plateau, killing in Benue, herdsmen attack, this and this, for 1 month you don't hear it, President Trump will not talk about Nigeria. But if you continue to hear there is herdsmen attack, there is this, there are this in Plateau, in Benue, in Adamawa, in Borno, President Trump will be interested. Other nations can be interested. And look, there's nothing wrong with international partnership to combat terrorism. Because if you allow it in your country, it will gradually penetrate into another country. From there, it will have a whole region. And if it captures West Africa, who knows what will happen in the entire African countries. So that is why it's a burden to Nigeria already, and international communities are already trying to support. So I want to see it as a support, as a relationship. Let's partner, synergize. Let Mr. President appoint diplomats, seasoned diplomats that will engage with the US, with UK, with all the international communities. Let's come together and see how we can solve our insecurity problem in Nigeria. Let's not be divided and say, let them attack Nigeria. After all, it's Tinubu that is the president. If here is hot, it will be hot for everybody, both the opposition and the people in power. If here is sweet, the road that in Wike is using FCT, am I not using it? Is it only APC members that are using it? If here is peaceful and business is thriving in Nigeria, I will benefit. And of course, that is why I still believe that if Labour Party will be allowed to implement their policies in Nigeria, some of these things will be 80% resolved.
Okay, talking about Labour Party and implementing some of its policies. Now, what kind of, how can the National Assembly also in its oversight function help in this? Most times you hear a sitting IGP say we're withdrawing policemen from, mobile policemen from dignitaries, and they never get it implemented. Do you think that the National Assembly can help play a role to ensure that we have the kind of policing and security we have?
They are, in fact, the National Assembly, I'm sorry to say, because tomorrow I may happen to appear there, maybe their appointment,
Are you declaring interest already?
Or be a member. But the truth is that any nation that works, the parliament must be functional. The parliament must be able to stand their feet and say, this must stop. They will engage the executive. But the current parliament we have today is not doing that job. I'm sorry. They are not doing that job. They have a great role to play because they are the beneficiaries. Go to every ministry. It's honorable members and senators that are dragging capital projects. They are dragging it. They have left their oversight function. What they now do, minister, put this job for me, put this job for me. They won't question the minister, how are you spending, what is the performance of your budget? They don't do that because there's campaign for projects to do. And our citizens now expect honorable members and senators to build road, not to make law. So if you're a honorable member, you're a senator, you've not done street light, you've not done school, you've not built road, they won't see you as a representative. Nigerians, because of lack of, governance, good governance, have begun to interchange roles. They expect that honorable member will build road instead of the governor or the local government chairman to engage in road building and electrification, rural electrification. They expect honorable member. So if Nigeria must function, the National Assembly must first of all purge themselves. Travel and go and see how many police officers that follows them. A lawmaker. Is it supposed to be so? No. A lawmaker is supposed to drive himself. Go and see the amount of security that the Senate President and the House of Rep Speaker is pulling on the road. Almost competing with that of the President and the... In fact, that of the Senate President is more than that of the Vice President of the country. So they are only securing themselves. They are interested in themselves. If they are interested in Nigerians, let them make a law today that everybody must apply Lokoja Road.
All right, Mr. Kennedy.
Let them make a law.
All right.
It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Unfortunately, that's where we have to leave the conversation, but we definitely enjoyed your contributions on the program this morning.
So much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of our conversation. We'll now hand you over to Lagos, where Ria and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show. Over to you, Ria.
All right. Thank you so much, TJ Su Nagode.